Hello girls, and as I have said earlier that in this video we'll be studying about pollination. Pollination, it is a very important process in sexual reproduction in plants because this only will lead to the process of fertilization and seed formation. So here pollination is the process where the pollen grains gets deposited over the stigma of a carpel. But male and female gametes both are non-motile. That means they cannot move. So it's like plant makes certain strategies or certain agents. They use certain agents for carrying them these pollen grains to the receptive stigma. So pollination is the transfer of pollen grains from anthers to the stigma of a flower. The transfer of pollen grains from the opened anther to receptive stigma of a carpel is called as pollination. Here in this picture you can see this is a flower, anther, here anther is there, and from this anther pollen grain is carried away by certain agents to the stigma of this flower. So this is how the pollination occurs. Pollen grains are carried away by certain agents to the stigma of other or same flower that we will study now. Now pollination, it has two types, mainly self-pollination and cross-pollination. Self-pollination occurs in a single or two flowers of a same plant. This occurs on a same plant. Depending upon this, that means is it a single flower or two flowers? There are two types of self-pollination. One is autogamy. Autogamy generally occurs in bisexual flower when both stamen and carpel are present. In bisexual flower, both are present. So, in a single flower or in a same flower, anthers of that flower only gets deposited on the stigma of the same flower. That is autogamy. That phenomena is known as autogamy. And for autogamy, three conditions are required. Like when the flower opens to expose its organ, that is known as chasmogamy, and the flower is known as chasmogamous flower. That means flower opens and the pollen grains expose themselves. That is called as chasmogamy. Another condition is when the anther and stigma of a flower, they mature at the same time. When the stigma and the anther, they matures at the same time, that is known as homogamy. So this condition is also required for self pollination. And the third condition is cleistogamy, where the flower does not open. So in a closed condition only pollination occur. So these three conditions are required for autogamy, where the pollination occur in a single or same flower of a plant only. Second type is geitonogamy. In geitonogamy, what happens is the pollen grains gets transferred to the flower of different flower of the same plant. Different flower of the same plant. That is called as geitonogamy. Plant is similar, single, same, but the flowers are different. And now let us go to cross pollination. Cross pollination, it is a pollination where flowers from different plants are involved, but of the same species. That means the pollen grains get transferred from a flower to another flower of a different plant, but of the same species. Now for this, certain agencies are required. Cross pollination cannot occur itself. It requires certain agencies, certain agents, or certain strategies, and depending upon that, there are two types. One is abiotic agencies, and other is biotic agencies. As the name itself suggests, abiotic agencies, that means non-living agencies or agents are involved here, and in biotic agencies, living organisms are involved. So in abiotic agencies, generally wind and water, these two agents are involved in the process of pollination, and when wind is involved it is called as anemophily, when water is involved it is called as hydrophily. In abiotic agents like insects, birds, or bats can be used by the plants for pollination. And if insect is involved, then it is called as entomophily. When the birds are involved, it is ornithophily. Bats are involved, then it is chiropetrophily. Here in this diagram, you can clearly see the process of pollination, types of pollination, self-pollination, and cross-pollination. Here, two plants are shown, plant A, plant B. These two plants are of same species. Here you can see single flower is shown. From this flower only the pollen grains are getting transferred to the stigma of this flower only. So same flower is involved, and this is called as autogamy. Plant is similar and the flower is also same. But here you can see this is one flower and this one is the another flower. So here the pollen grain is getting transferred to the stigma of different flower, but the plant is same. Different flower but same plant. This is known as geitonogamy. In geitonogamy, plant is same but flowers are different. In autogamy, same plant and same flower is involved. Now here, this is plant A, this is plant B. Here, from the flower of plant A, pollen grains are getting deposited over the stigma of plant B. So this is a case where a flower of different plants are involved but of same species. So this is known as cross pollination. Here in this diagram also the same thing is shown, plant A and plant B. Here self pollination, that is autogamy, is taking place in a single flower only. Here this is geitonogamy, different flowers but same plant. Here the cross pollination, different flowers and plants are also different but of same species. Now, why the pollinators or our agents should visit the flower? But before that, we will see what pollinator is. So, pollinator is the biotic agent, living agent that is required for the pollination or for carrying pollen grains to the stigma of the flower. And one more term is there, that is pollinizer. Pollinizer is the plant which is the source of pollen grains. And as I asked, why the pollinators will visit the flower? So it will visit the flower for certain rewards. Now, what are the rewards for the pollinator? So, rewards are energy rich nectar or protein rich pollens. This is the food for pollinator. Insects or bats or birds, whoever is visiting a flower, it will use nectar as a food from the plant source. Sometimes it may visit for, or these certain things are attracting our pollinators towards the flower, and these are shape of a petal or the color of the petal and even the fragrance also. These things are important for attracting pollinators towards the flower. Now, when abiotic agents are involved, that we will see in detail. So, anemophily is a condition where wind is involved as a agent for carrying pollen grains. Now, when the wind is involved, the plants which are pollinated through wind, they have certain adaptations, they show certain adaptations. And in these adaptations, like flower, generally they are small or they are colorless or they are non showy. They don't have a fragrance also, no odor is there, even they don't have a nectar. So flowers are very small, but the pollen grains should be in a large numbers. They should be dry, they should be light in weight, then only it will be carried by the wind. Stigma should be feathery. That means when the wind current is carrying pollen grains, so feathers of stigma will help in deposition of the pollen grains. Stamens are exerted with long filaments and versatile anthers. That means it will be easily exposed to the wind. Examples of this anemophilous plants where the wind is the agent for pollination are generally grasses, sugarcane, bamboo, coconut, palm tree, date palm, cannabinus, or maize. All grasses, these are included under anemophily, where the wind is the agent for pollination. Here in this picture, this is, you can see this is the grass, or here pollen grains are carried away by the wind, and here you can see this is the stigma, feathery stigma. So these are catching these pollen grains. So this is how pollination takes place in this type of plants. Another type of abiotic agent is hydrophily, where water is involved as the means of pollination. That means pollen grains are carried away by the water currents. For this also certain adaptations are there in a plant. Again, the plant does not show any showy flower. Flowers are very small. These are colorless, odorless, even then they are nectarless. They don't require to have nectars. Pollen grains and stigma are generally unwettable, and stigma are long and sticky. Examples are Vallisneria and Zostera. Here in this diagram, you can see in this picture, you can see here the pollination in Vallisneria is shown. This one is the staminate flower, that means male flower, and this one is the female flower. And pollen grains, when they are released in a water, so this pistillate flower or the female flower, it is catching those pollen grains, and this is how pollination occurs in this. Now this hydrophily is again of two type. One is hypohydrophily and other is epihydrophily. In hypohydrophily, generally the pollen grains are heavier than the water. As they are heavier than the water, so they sink down and they get caught by the stigmas of female flower. Seagrass is the example of this. And epihydrophily, here exactly opposite case is there. Here pollen grains, they float on the surface of water, as these are lighter in weight, lighter than the water, hence they float on the water surface. Vallisneria, which we have seen, is the example of epihydrophily. Now let us come to biotic agents. In this first biotic agent that we will see is the insect. And when insects are involved in the process of pollination, it is called as entomophily. Here insects visit the flowers to collect nectar or edible pollen or for the shelter. These three things are there, which are the rewards for the pollinator or insect. As the insect visits a flower, its body gets dusted with the pollen grain. Whenever the insect sits on the flower, at that time, due to the activities of that insect, pollen grains get deposited over the body of the insect, and then when this loaded insect, pollen loaded insect, visit another flower, its body brushes against the stigma, and then pollen grains transfer to the that flower. So this is how pollination occurs. Now for this, adaptations are also there. Now here, as we have seen for abiotic agent, flowers were inconspicuous, small, no color, no odor. But here exactly opposite case is there. Like pollinators should get attracted towards the flower for the pollination. So the flowers are, they are large, they are conspicuous, they are brightly colored, they have pleasant fragrance and also nectar, food for insects. Pollen grains are usually rough and sticky, so that as they are sticky, so get attached to the body of insect. And other examples are bees, moths and butterflies. Through these insects, pollination occurs in these type of plants. Like this one is Rafflesia plant. Here smell, fragrance, odor plays important role for the pollination. The rottenings meat like smell, it attracts carrion flies which pollinate this flower. This again, one more example of entomophily. Rose is a plant. Here the pleasant smell and sweet fragrance and even edible bright petals are the reward for the insect. Here insect is pollinating the flower. For insect pollination, the pollen grains should be sticky and rough, and generally they contains yellow sticky substance which is known as pollen kit. Here you can see pollen kit is shown, which get attached to the body of the insect, and when it visits to the another flower, this sheds over that stigma of that flower, and this is how pollination occur. This one is the another example. Salvia is the plant where insect is pollinating the flower. This is a kind of lever mechanism or turnpike mechanism. Here you can see different type of petals are there. Two lips are or arms are there, lower one and the upper one. So when the insect, here you can see bee is visiting a flower, trying to get on the lower arm of the flower, and when it tries to do that, upper arm, it slightly bends towards the insect, and at that time only pollen gets transferred to the bee, and that means it sticks to the body of this bee. And then here, where it is like, just imagine it is visiting another flower of a different plant. Then when it visits different flower, at that time, due to the activity of this insect, again this upper lip, it bends towards the insect, and stigma get the deposition of the pollen grains. Pollen grains get deposited on the stigma of this plant. So this is how in this plant pollination occurs. This one is also one more example. Ficus is a plant which is actually inflorescence. It is not a single flower, it is a cluster or group of flower. It is an inflorescence. And this here also cross pollination occurs, though the male flower and the female flower both are present in this inflorescence, but still it avoids self pollination and facilitate cross pollination, because female flowers generally they are present at the base of this inflorescence, and male flowers generally lie or they present near the opening of this inflorescence. And plus these two matures at different type, so time is maturation time is different. So that is why whenever any, like here you can see insect is trying to get into this, and like if it is already visited any other inflorescence, and so it will have, the body will have pollen grain. Now when it will visit this one, and it will go to the female flower, so naturally the pollen grain will get deposited over the stigma of the female flower. So this is how cross pollination occurs in this plant. This one is one more example of entomophily. Calotropis is the plant where cross pollination occurs. Here also you can see insect is visiting, and here pollinia is present, like here on this stage like structure, pollinia is present, and when this insect visit this flower, so this pollinia it get attached to the legs of this insect which has pollen grains, and when it visits another flower, so these gets shed over there, and this is how pollen grains gets transferred to the stigma of another flower. Now next example is of birds. Now our next agent is the bird, and when the flower get pollinated by bird, it is known as ornithophily. Common bird pollinators are hummingbirds, sunbirds, honey eaters, crow, parrot, mena, bulbul. All these birds they pollinate the flower, and in that case, the phenomena is known as ornithophily. Now, birds can obtain its staple food from the flower, and that is nectar. The bird pollinated flower have funnel shaped or tubular corollas. That means petals are like funnel or as like tube, and these should be brightly colored. Then only birds get attracted toward the flower, and then it eat nectar. And while doing that, pollen grains get deposited over the body of the bird, and again when this visit to another flower, those pollen grains get deposited over the stigma of that particular flower. So this is how pollination occur due to birds. Again, floral parts should be leathery, and they should produce in a proper amount of nectar. It should be in large quantity. Pollen should be in large quantity and should be sticky. Then only it will stick to the body of bird. Um Commonly pollinated plants are bombax, red silk cotton, coral tree, erythrina, begonia, lobelia, agave, then bottle brush, callistemon are certain examples of bird pollinated plants. Bottle brush, here the bird is trying to pollinate bottle brush. Even hibiscus is also example of bird pollination. Hummingbird is trying to pollinate this flower. Now next one is the chiropterophily. Chiropterophily is a phenomena where pollination occurs by bats. Pollination occurs by bats. Now bats are nocturnal animal, and they visit the flower when they inhale certain strong odor. So the flower should emit a strong odor to attract bats. Bats they move very fast and transport pollen to long distances. Bat pollinated flowers generally produce more nectar than ornithophilous flower, because here also it will be a reward for the bat. It will visit, of course it will visit due to the strong odor, but it will visit for the nectar, its food. It should have large number of stamen. Certain examples are sausage tree, bombab tree, or kadam tree. These three are the examples where bats pollinate the plant flower. Here in this picture you can see Adansonia is shown. Adansonia plant is shown, and bat is trying to pollinate the flower. So that was about the pollination. Now sometimes what happened that plant itself does not facilitate self pollination. It avoid self pollination in order to get varieties of plants. That means genetic variation if required, then it should avoid a self pollination, and it should facilitate cross pollination. Now for this plant itself, they develops or they makes certain mechanisms or certain devices or certain strategies by themselves, due to which they avoid self pollination and they can show cross pollination. This is how they will get the genetic diversity. So we will see what type of devices they frame for themselves, through which they can avoid self pollination and can facilitate cross pollination. So in that, first one is unisexuality. Unisexuality is the case where plant bears either male or female flower. That means a plant will have either male or a female flower. Unisexual flower will be there. It is also called as dioecium. As flowers are unisexual, self-pollination is not possible, because for self-pollination, bisexual flowers are required. And plants may be monoecious. That means can be a female plant or can be a male plant only. And example is maize or mulberry or papaya. Here in this picture, papaya plants are shown. This one is the male papaya flower and this one is the female papaya flower. So male and female flowers, or rather plants, are different. So naturally self pollination is not possible here. Cross pollination only will occur. Next type of device is dichogamy. Dichogamy is something where anther and stigma, they mature at different times are different for maturation period, and depending upon that there are two types of dichogamy. One is protandry and other is protogyny. In protandry, androecium they matures earlier than the gynoecium. Androecium they matures first and then gynoecium. Example is sunflower. In protogyny, exactly opposite case is there. Gynoecium matures earlier than the androecium. This picture you can see for these two type of conditions. Here you can see in protandrous type of flower, androecium matures earlier than the stigma, and after the shedding of pollen grains from the anther, stigma matures. Here protogynous flowers are there. Here first the gynoecium matures, and after you can say deposition of pollen grains from some different flowers, or say after fertilization, anthers or androecium matures. So two different times for maturation of androecium and gynoecium. Another type of device is heterostyly. In heterostyly, uh, lengths of the stamens, they are different. Here you will find the styles are different, or sometimes the filaments are of different lengths. See here you can see the example where you will see heterostyly. Here the style of plant A, style of plant B and of C. Here the style is, length of a style is different. Even of the filaments also it is different. So again, because of this also, like here you will see the length of the style is more than the anther. So naturally here self pollination cannot happen. Next one is the hercogamy. Hercogamy is a mechanical device to prevent self pollination. Sometimes in plants natural physical barriers are present, like this type of physical barrier or something remains present over there, which does not allow the sex organs to contact with each other, and because of this It facilitates cross pollination and not self pollination. And the example is the calotropis. In calotropis, this this stage like structure is actually a natural physical barrier which does not allow the sex organs to contact with each other, and this is how self pollination is avoided. Next is self incompatibility or self sterility. This is a genetic mechanism due to which the germination of pollen and stigma on the same flower is inhibited. That means when the pollen get deposited over the stigma, so it generally avoids certain type of pollen which cannot, like, it avoids pollen germination. It only facilitates uh, certain types of pollen grains only. Here you can see like S1 is avoided. Here in this type of stigma, S2 and S1, both the pollen grains are avoided. Only this type here, like S3 and S4 types of, or these are just names to identify. Here, these two pollen grains, they are germinated, but in other cases, it is avoided. So this is self-sterility. Now let us see pollen-pistil interaction. Pollen-pistil interaction is the event from the deposition, that means from the pollination to the fertilization. These are the events, these are the processes from the pollination to the fertilization. So all the events from the deposition of pollen grain on stigma to the entry of pollen tube in the ovule are referred as pollen pistil interaction. The pistil has the ability to recognize and accept the right or compatible pollen. Here, the pistil, the stigma, is playing an important role in recognition or identification of right type of pollen. And this stigma will only allow that right type of pollen to germinate over there, and others will be discarded by the pistil. Compatibility and incompatibility of the pollen pistil is determined by special proteins. For this, special proteins are responsible. This process involves pollen recognition followed by promotion or inhibition of a pollen. It is a physiological mechanism which operates to ensure that only intraspecific pollen germinate successfully. That means which is compatible with that particular stigma, that only will germinate and other will be discarded or rejected. The compatible pollen absorb water and nutrient from the surface of stigma and it germinates over there and produces pollen tube. So this is pollen pistil interaction. Here in this picture also you can see pollen pistil interaction. See here, these pollen grains are rejected by this stigma, whereas these are trying to germinate. That means these are accepted by this special protein or this by this physiological mechanism, and because of this physiological mechanism, only these types of pollen grains are getting germinated and others are discarded. So this is pollen pistil interaction. Now, one more contrivances or the device is the artificial hybridization. Artificial hybridization is something where artificially plants or human beings, they facilitate cross pollination and avoid self pollination. So it is one of the major approaches used in the crop improvement. Only the desired pollen grains are hand pollinated and are used for cross pollination. And this artificial hybridization generally involves two methods or two steps. One is emasculation and another is bagging. Here in this picture, emasculation is shown. Emasculation, here what happens that as you can see in this picture, uh, here from this flower, anthers are being cut. So anthers are removed from this bisexual flower before its release naturally, before its natural release, it has been cut or removed from this bisexual flower with the help of forceps or Caesar. Here uh, Caesar is shown. Then afterward, after removal, they do bagging. Bagging, with the it is like masked, the flower is masked with the bag. Once the stigma attains the receptivity, or it become receptive for pollen grains, or the desired pollens which we want to get germinated over the stigma of that particular flower, till that time it bag or masked using that bag, and when it receives receptivity or it matures, it is removed, and then desired pollen grains or pollens which we want to be deposited over there uh, get deposited there, and this is how the cross pollination or artificial hybridization takes place. So this was all about the pollination and different strategies used by the plant for facilitate cross pollination. Now in next class we will study post or fertilization changes, or the changes which occurs after fertilization. That means we will study double fertilization, seed formation and fruit formation.